Yes! There. Now nobody can accuse me of hiding my answer way down the back end of the video so that I can get more watch time and my video will rank higher. Not that anybody has ever accused me of that, but that does tend to be something that people do, and I just don't want to be that guy. I'd rather just tell you off the bat, and then I can go into my reasons why afterwards for this one, because some people really won't care about my reasoning, you'll just want to hear yay or nay. So now with all that out of the way, let's actually talk about the prospect of Henry Cavill, the man who was done dirty in Justice League with that horrible, terrible, very bad, no good, fake CGI top lip mustache, getting a chance to reprise his role. Not only in the Snyder Cut with all that footage that none of us have ever seen, making virtually a brand new movie, which the more I think about it, the more excited I get about it. Not just because it's another Justice League movie. I know that there's probably some of you at home right now going, oh, it's just because it's DC and it's Justice League that you're excited. No, honestly, it's because the more I think about it, the more the cinematic Justice League really doesn't feel like a finished product. It really feels like it was supposed to be much grander than Steppenwolf. Why? Because I read the comics, and Steppenwolf is not an endgame boss. Steppenwolf, if you were to put DC Comics into a video game, Steppenwolf would be like maybe the second or third last boss if this was an apocalypse set game, possibly, but he's not an end boss, and that's what he was in this movie. If we were seeing Steppenwolf, we were absolutely supposed to see Darkseid, without a doubt, because Darkseid is the king on the chessboard of Apocalypse. We only faced his uncle, the general. Would that make him a rook or a knight? Probably a rook. I would say that the knight would be Calibac. And the bishop would be Desaad. Granny Goodness would be the queen, if Kirby's Fourth World was a chess game. To see Cavill reprise his role as the Man of Steel, not only in the Snyder Cut of the Justice League, which, as I've previously stated, I'm getting more and more excited about, and I feel will actually be undoubtedly better than the Justice League movie we got. Not because it's more in line with the comics, but because it's a more complete vision of what Zack was doing, and it will make the entire thing make more sense. You can't have the first two movies setting up an entire universe storyline just to chop it in half and cut it off and go, that's what we're doing instead, and completely alter the recipe. You end up with a different outcome, and things obviously don't properly match. And come on, we all want to see old Cavill without this going on. You know you want to. I want to, you want to, your grandma wants to. I know my wife wants to. She's got a little crush on Henry Cavill. And I wish I could say that I was joking, but she doesn't. Henry Cavill and that other dude from that other show. What's that time travel-y show with the girl that goes back in time and then she meets that handsome English dude? Hey, Margaret, who is the name of the dude and what is the name of the show that guy you have a crush on? It's the time travel-y, timey-wimey show, and there's got the hot guy in it.
Outlander.
Outlander? Sam Heughan.
Yes.
Yeah, you think he's hot?
Yes.
Okay, who's hotter, Sam Heughan or Henry Cavill?
Sam Heughan.
I'm sorry, Henry, if you're watching. You held that throne for about 4 or 5 years, but then Sam took it over. This isn't even Superman related. But based on the success, the popularity, how well his appearance is received in the Snyder Cut, and also whatever it is that he's signing on to put on the red cape again in the DC Film Universe, at this point, it's looking like it's just going to be an appearance in another DC movie, and I'm speculating it'll be Shazam 2 alongside Zach Levi and The Rock, where Superman will make an appearance where he shows up to encourage Shazam during a time of darkness, self-doubt, and Superman is that character of hope, so he will likely be able to show up and have that parental superhero role to Shazam. Sounds weird because they're both actually grown-ups, but not really, because Shazam is actually Billy Batson, who's a kid who only becomes a grown-up when he says the magic word, Shazam! But I think that that's exactly what we're going to see based on the success of those two things. The HBO Max Snyder Cut release and whatever. And again, I'm only saying I think that it would be in the Shazam sequel. At that point, if it's a good response, which I believe it will be, then we will see a Man of Steel sequel, which I'm really hoping they don't call Man of Steel 2. I'm hoping that they give it another Superman name rather than just going with Man of Steel 2. But I think that we'll definitely see him in that role. It has been argued in the past that Henry Cavill shouldn't be Superman, even though he clearly looks the part. Probably such a chiseled guy, probably one of the best looking people to ever play Superman, right up there with Christopher Reeve. It has been argued that his acting is kind of like a stump, that he's like a stump wearing a red cape and boots. And I would disagree with that. I think that he does a good job in the role, acting as Superman. He can make his voice sound right. He has the right cadence. The problem for a lot of people isn't the fact that Henry is Superman. This is my opinion. Isn't that Henry is Superman. It's that the DC Film Universe that Zack Snyder was creating, which was definitely a more gritty, more philosophical adult superhero film universe, something that definitely was a little bit out of touch, with a broader fandom, even though it's a well-loved movie franchise, obviously, because the Snyder Cut is being released. Certainly, it could have been something that was a little bit more encompassing, that made more people happy. I think it's that left a bad taste in people's mouth, that it was so dark, that it was so gritty, that Superman, that he made the decision to kill Zod at the end of Man of Steel. And then he was definitely more darker and more brooding in Batman v Superman, questioning the need for Superman. What am I doing? Why do I even need to be here? Am I causing more damage than good wearing this cape? I can understand why that leaves a bad taste in some people's mouth. I myself am on the record saying I wish that the DC Film Universe had started with, right off the bat, a bright, hopeful Superman movie, that we didn't need an origin story, because everyone knows the origin of Superman, or maybe just a small portion could have been dedicated to his origin, even though those Krypton scenes in Man of Steel are some of the best pieces of comic book cinematography that I've ever seen. We didn't really need it. It was cool, but we could have gotten right into Superman in Metropolis doing superhero stuff. It could have been like faster than a speeding bullet. And then whoosh, he does something faster than a speeding. Maybe he catches one just before it hits someone in the head. And then more powerful than a locomotive. And the next scene is him at super speed going whoosh and flying and stopping a train before it runs over a little girl holding a teddy bear or something like that. I know these are idealistic shots, right? And then he does all that stuff kind of in the first beginning moments, does his Superman thing, establishing that he's the bright, hopeful character, gets a cat out of a tree, maybe he stops and takes a selfie with somebody, and then he flies home and has breakfast with Lois. And then there's some dialogue, with bathed in orange morning, 8:30 in the morning light, and then he hears something and boom, he's off again, and right into the movie. That's what I would have done. Something bright, something hopeful. But they didn't ask me to. I'm just a nobody with a YouTube channel. And Zach is a person that has a rich history of very brilliant, very awesome looking movies. You didn't really have, I don't really know why they picked him to do Superman, if I'm being honest. I mean, I think that what am I trying to say here? This is completely unscripted. It's just me rambling. Could you tell? What I'm trying to say is, even though the way that Superman was portrayed in Man of Steel and then in Batman v Superman might not be exactly how I would have liked to see Superman portrayed and make his cinematic appearance to the world again post Christopher Reeve and Brandon Roth. That doesn't mean he was bad in the role. It means that's how it was written and that's how he had to act it. I feel like the positive direction that the DC Universe, the film DC Universe, was going with Cavill becoming a beacon of hope, I respect the story that Snyder was trying to tell. It was a philosophical story, as I've always said, and it was cut off too soon. I'd like to see what happens, and we're going to get a chance to see exactly how Superman's character matures with the Snyder Cut, and I'm really, really excited at the prospect of us getting that Man of Steel sequel, that Superman movie that we never got, the second one, which we were, I think, pretty much always supposed to get. It has been argued that Batman v Superman really was Superman's sequel, that he never was supposed to get another one. I don't know how true that is, but certainly I feel like we're going to get one. Brandon Roth's Superman was received so well. Tyler Hoechlin's Superman has been received so well. People are hungry for more Superman, a hopeful character in a very often hopeless world. I mean, especially right now with so much stuff going on, the world needs the character of Superman more than ever. Now is the time. Let's let Henry Cavill shine as Superman. Let's let him play the role that he was born to play, because I feel like it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be awesome. Anyway, super friends, I've rambled on long enough. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time with the next one. Bye for now.